And now the VCs are getting smarter or more frugal or both. And they're not going to pump hundreds of millions of dollars into a company that has no product market fit to compete with market leaders that do. What we're seeing isn't this like, holy shit, everyone's getting laid off, the world's coming to an end, all these companies suck. What we're seeing is a right sizing. Those who scaled improperly, those who had crazy valuations that made no sense whatsoever with ridiculous multiples, those who went out and hired a bunch of inexperienced people to lead their go-to-market product or go-to-market and product functions. I think there's going to be a reckoning, and I do think that you're going to see a massive decline in these super early stage companies that don't have product market fit.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the One Up Revenue podcast for 2023's first official drop. We took a little break, but man, this break is all well to it. For today's special guest we have for you is a true significant SaaS sales leader. This individual itself we've been following for quite some time. He was named 2023 Demandbait's top 25 execs. He's experienced 2 exits, held numerous roles in terms of sales, in terms of being a CRO, VP of sales, and even advising. A few KPIs that he was able to achieve was bringing companies all the way from 500K to over 50 million ARR. He is a go-to strategist and executioner in terms of full entire funnel, top, middle, and bottom. He is the founder and CEO of Adam J Consulting. Please give us a warm welcome to Mr. Adam.
Mr. Bob Smith, Mr. Bob Smith, the CEO of Adam J Consulting. Thanks for having me, man. Excited to be here.
God damn, man. We're excited to have you. You're probably one of the biggest, hardest hitter we have on this podcast.
We are please, excited. Come on. You are setting this bar way too high. I put my pants on the same way as everyone else, man.
Yeah, guys, in case you're wondering, he's a true SaaS leader here with over 20 years of experience. Started in medical device sales, if I'm not mistaken. But Adam, without further ado, before we dive into the topic, which is around AI and how people are leveraging it, what are like the kind of risks and kind of future trajectory that we can see how AI can help B2B sales professional. Would you mind sharing just a little bit of background, who you are, how'd you get started, and pick it up from there?
Yeah. I'd love to. So it's funny. We lead with that. I'm a sales leader, but I'm going to lead with what I lead every job interview, whether that be real job interview or whether I'm working with consulting clients. First and foremost, I'm a father, and there's a reason I start with that, right? So I have a 12-year-old kiddo. I've coached his basketball for the better part of 6 years, and I lead with that because it speaks to my leadership style and everything that I do in life. It's all about being a coach. I think that as a sales leader, your job is to make others better. Your job is to lift people up, and your job is to have people realize they could do things that they didn't even realize were possible. So with that, like you said, I've been in sales leadership for, longer than I care to admit, 15, almost 20 years. Started in medical device. I actually started in pharmaceuticals. I sold speed to kids, as my wife says. I repped Adderall and a couple other ADHD medications. Sold them to pediatricians. Realized quickly that pharmaceuticals isn't real sales. It's more catering, so dropping off lunches and shit. Got into medical device. Had an incredible time in there. Loved being in the operating room. That's where I got my first taste of like sales leadership and management. Was recruited over to Toast, got a taste for software sales, and it's been an upward ride ever since, man. A couple of VP roles, CRO role, and finally realized that tying myself to one founder and one product limited my scope. And what I really wanted to do was help as many founders as I can, as many sales leaders as I can. So I decided about a little under a month ago to go all in on me. Launched my consulting practice full-time instead of doing it as a part-time sales hustle. And here we are.
Oh, man. And hey, congratulations on going full-time. I know there's a lot of consultants out there who kind of gets this nitty-gritty, like, should I go in full-time? Should I not? Should I just work for a company while doing so? I'm curious to pick your brain. Like, when was like the aha moment you said, you know what, I'm going to give this a shot. Got to talk to my wife about it. I don't know if she was scared or, just anything you can share there.
She told me to do it long before I did. She told me to do it before I took my last gig. She's like, listen, man, we're blessed, right? Our best day, our worst day is better than a lot of folks' best day. We spent about 4 weeks in Asia over the summer, and it gave me an appreciation for what I have. So we're very fortunate. She told me a while ago to bet on myself and go all in, but I wanted to give the corporate world another shot. And I do remember the moment, the exact moment that I said I'm done. It was a Monday after, it was a Sunday afternoon, excuse me. And I was asked to have a meeting on Monday. And whatever the time of the meeting was didn't work for me. I was actually flying with my wife to Chicago at that time to spend time with her family. We go up every 6 to 8 weeks or so. She is from there.
Mm.
And this particular person said to me that, I have two choices. I could either cancel my flight or I can meet with them at, whatever ridiculous time of the night I could meet with them. But that was my options, to which I said neither one of those options are acceptable. I'm not canceling my flight and I'm not meeting with you at 10 o'clock at night. But that was the moment that I realized, like, I work hard, man. I work 60 something hours a week. I think nothing of it. Like, I'm not that guy that works 9 to 5. I never block my calendar unless it's for my kid. But that moment stuck with me when someone was like, you could cancel your flight. No, I want to work with as many founders as I can to help them scale their business responsibly, to transition from founder-led sales responsibly, but also to build a culture the right way that makes people want, not have, want to work with you and for you. And the only way to do that is by doing fractional work and working with multiple founders.
Oh shit! So they actually gave you an ultimatum.
It wasn't an ultimatum in this, like, I wasn't told you're going to take this meeting or you're going to be fired. But I was told, like, these are the times you're going to take this meeting. And I pushed back and I wasn't fired over it, but like, it was an uncomfortable situation. Right.
Mm.
I've never had someone say that to me because I've built a career, and I talk about this on almost every podcast I'm on, of creating an environment of family first. So if you were to look
Right.
at my calendar, I have a 12-year-old, like I said, and I share him with his mom, who lives 12 houses down from me. We've been divorced about 6 years, and she literally just
Mm.
bought a house in my neighborhood.
So
Whole different story. The kid loves it. I don't know if it's a little close for comfort, but
that's a
Zachary
different
loves it.
topic, right?
He goes back and forth. It's great, and she and my wife get along. But it was where was I going with that? Thank God for editing.
No worries.
Where the heck was I going with that? Kid.
Family first.
Oh, okay. Family first. Perfect. So in my calendar on the weeks that I have him, every day that I have him, I block my calendar out from 5:30 on, and it says block Zachary time, do not book. And I don't care if the world is blowing up. Like, dude, we sell software. We don't cure cancer. And my first gig, just to be clear, like, I worked for a women's healthcare company. We eradicated polyps and fibroids that could lead to cancer. So I get what it is to, like, cure cancer.
Yeah.
There is nothing we do that can't wait till tomorrow. And I encourage everyone on my teams to do that as well. Like, block that time to pick your kid up from school, to take your kid to school in the morning, to have lunch with your wife in the middle of the day. So when someone told me that I could cancel my flight to go to Chicago to be with my wife's family, yeah, that didn't sit well with me, man.
Yeah, no, and I'm sorry to see you had to go through that. It's interesting
All
because
good.
in the especially early stage SaaS companies, and I kind of experienced this too, and I saw it in the first real time. Some companies, I guess, they kind of take like a scrappier approach. I know, like, especially those who are in the East Coast versus the West Coast. The West Coast sometimes have to go chime in earlier, and for the East Coast side, they would have to work basically 8:30 plus PM. Like fractionals, like super startup, it's like shit.
Yeah, but I've worked for excuse me, I've worked for the majority of the companies I've worked for have actually been West Coast, Seattle based, San Francisco based, and you'd be surprised. I never really ran into that, barring like a board meeting or something. But generally speaking, like, I didn't get a whole lot of meetings coming over at, like, oh, it's 5 o'clock, Pacific. We work till 6 o'clock, so it's 8 o'clock Eastern. Like, you're going to be on this meeting. I think, having always managed remote teams long before COVID, that never was an issue. When I worked for Hologic, I actually lived in Florida and I managed the West Coast of the country because that made a lot of fucking sense. I would literally fly every Monday out to, like, San Diego, Phoenix, Vegas, LA. It was the stupidest thing I ever could have done. Got lots of airline miles, my friend. But like,
Yeah.
managing the West Coast from the East wasn't smart, but I never had that issue. But there's definitely the hustle culture, right? And like I posted about this the other day, like hustle culture in my mind is over. I think that it's about working smart. It's about being productive, and whether you work at 2 in the morning because that's the best time for you, or whether you work at 9 at night or 12 in the afternoon, like we have to accept that we're all different, and we live in this remote world. And like some people are night owls, some people are morning persons. I'm not a night person, dude. I'm in bed. I'm gonna get so much shit for this. I'm in bed by 8:30, like literally
Oh, no
every
way.
night. We're asleep by 10 o'clock, but in bed by 8:30 watching TV. But I'm in my office at 6:30 in the morning. I do better in the morning. Now I'm not scheduling conference calls at 6:30 in the morning. I don't expect anyone else to do that, but that's when I work well. Conversely, like my last director of business development, she was a night owl. Like it was not uncommon for her to be online at 11, 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. That wouldn't work for me, but I respected it. And as long as there's enough crossover where we could work together, listen, if you do your best work at midnight, God bless you. Just know that I'm rolling over dreaming somewhere.
No, that's funny. I'm actually a night owl too myself. I prefer just doing like the
Do
admin
you
part
really?
of it.
How
Yeah, I
late? How
do.
late are you up?
Oh man, 11:30, 12. That's
Oof.
like working and stuff like that. But 50, 60 hours on average too, similar to
Yeah.
you. But hey Adam, quick question for you, man.
Yeah.
So I thought like a lot of people who came from like medical devices software too, and it's also vice versa. What is it about software that intrigues you more than medical? Like, what made you leave? Is what I'm trying to say. Ask.
It's funny because my mind has changed on this recently, but why I made the change um, at the time that I was in device, to go any further than I was, like I was what was called a regional director, right? So in software land, that would be like an RVP. I managed managers. And to go any further than that, you needed like a master's degree in healthcare, and you're talking like big public companies, right? So you're not getting promoted to like a VP role unless you've been there, 15, 20, 25 years. Every healthcare company at the time was like giant public corporations. And like, in case you haven't noticed, I'm not the guy who's going to be the VP of sales at a public corporation. um,
You look like one.
so I mean, maybe,
I'm
but
just kidding.
I figured that I've always been a techie. I've always been the first guy to like get the new iPhone. Like I'm a huge Tesla fanboy. I have the gaming monitor even though I don't game. Like I've been a big tech person, and I've always loved the difference that software can make in people's lives. So when Toast actually reached out to me and recruited me, my initial thought was like, I'm not selling fucking POS. Like that's like why? And going through the interview process, learning that like it's not POS, you're actually selling software, you're selling a platform, you're selling an operating system. I became bought into it, and I saw the difference that software was able to make in people's lives and driving efficiency. And going from selling to restaurant owners to selling to sales and marketing leaders, I genuinely am all about like automation and efficiency, and like how can we make our lives easier. So that's kind of how that transition came in. But it's funny, like the reverse of that is where the economy is going now. It's so difficult to sell software,
Ooh.
especially to sales and marketing. If you're selling software to software companies, it's very hard. There's a huge market, like if you're selling to manufacturing or other areas that haven't been so reliant on software. But I look at my friends that are like still in healthcare, and their jobs are secure as secure could be. Because guess what? People are always getting sick, budget or no budget. Like you need the tools to do it. Certainly we dealt with like Medicare and reimbursement rates and things that would, determine how much money people had to spend. But there's a big part of me that says like, if I were to go back working full time, like, would it be for like a healthcare tech startup? I don't know if I'd ever want to go back to device and like be in the field again. Like that was really, really rough. You're talking 12 hours a day in and out of operating rooms. But I think from a job security and growth standpoint, well, listen, everyone listening, you, me, we all know what's happened in tech over the past 6 months. And I think it's going to get a little worse before it gets better. Healthcare hasn't been affected by that.
No, great insights there, and thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
Software,
of course,
right?
man.
Easy to scale, easy to grow. You just basically selling licenses. Quick question before we hop into our main topic around AI here. I remember reading an article, and it's like seeing like a YouTube podcast where my previous CMO there this guy projected like like we just mentioned in the SaaS space, it's going on a massive decline, and supposedly a lot of early stage SaaS startups gonna
Yeah.
basically disappear, perish. Like, what are your thoughts on that in the upcoming next 6 months? Just
I couldn't agree more. I think that what we're seeing isn't this like, holy shit, everyone's getting laid off, the world's coming to an end, all these companies suck. What we're seeing is a right sizing of the industry. And those who scaled improperly, those who had crazy valuations that made no sense whatsoever with ridiculous multiples, those who went out and hired a bunch of inexperienced people to lead their go-to-market product or go-to-market and product functions. Um, I think there's going to be a reckoning, and I do think that you're going to see a massive decline in these super early stage companies that don't have product market fit. And now the VCs are getting smarter or more frugal or both. And they're not going to pump hundreds of millions of dollars into a company that has no product market fit to compete with market leaders that do. I think it's going to cause a lot more innovation. It's going to cause people to be a lot more structured, and it's going to cause people to be a lot smarter on how they scale.
yeah, yeah. So it's basically being more mindful of their investment, right? Doing a little
You
bit more
have
due
to be.
diligence and saying no to someone typically they would say yes.
One more
Okay.
time.
Basically, how they would say, "Hey, I would invest in X companies," but now they have to just take a reverse engineer step back and go, "Okay, now I gotta be careful."
You have to. I think,
Yeah,
historically it was, if the idea is great, let's invest in it. Now it's like, it has to be a great idea with a great team, and ideally some type of product market fit already being shown.
got it, got it.
Risk
Okay,
versus reward.
okay. Um, Adam, let's chat AI, man.
Yeah.
Fuck, AI is crazy. So
I have Chat GPT on my phone. It just came out the other day.
I saw. Me too. Me too. Man, what are your thoughts on this? Because before it came out, I think it was like Reggie AI, right? Like, hey,
Yeah.
personalization, create the cadence and stuff. But
Spoke to
now
Matt
it's
Millen. I spoke to Matt Millen from Reggie yesterday.
oh, did you? Hey, shout out to you, man. Reggie, yeah. Like, what are your thoughts on this? Just we'll just talk top for specific sales development. Like,
So
what's a drawback? What are your thoughts on this, man?
I think that I want to be careful how I word this. I am not the person that thinks AI is going to eliminate every single job out there. I don't believe that. I don't think that, like, oh my God, every excuse me, every BDR is done. No. What I do think is it is going to replace jobs that can be done by AI, which is anything that lacks personalization. I think that, like, I would be worried if I was a content marketer and my job was to write blog posts all day. Um, you probably have a problem because, like, I use AI to help with my newsletter. It doesn't write my entire newsletter, but I absolutely use it to help. I
Yeah.
think what you're going to see is less people being more productive. So, specific to top of funnel, all these hours that BDRs would spend doing personalization at scale, looking to see where people work, what their interests are, what they've posted about recently, what's going to resonate with them. All of that shit can be done by AI now, right?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
AI can't do is tie it together pretty in a way that makes sense. I still think, and listen, I've tried to use ChatGPT for emails. It's okay for framework. It's not perfect. Reggie's okay. It's not perfect. You still need humans, but what AI can't do is pick up the phone and have a real conversation with you. And I
Ooh.
think, like, when I look at teams that I've led, we have booked the majority of our meetings in every role that I've had over the phone. And AI is not going to do that. What AI will do is make it that I don't have to have 4 extra people doing the research before I get on the phone, or make it that my BDR doesn't have to spend 45 minutes researching this one prospect from 17 different websites. The AI will put it all together and give the BDR a great summary super quick. So when they pick up that phone and they get me on the phone, now they know what to talk about. Or when they send me that email, they don't have to go to 24 sites to pull it all together because the AI is going to do that. But I don't think it's going to eliminate the BDR role. I think it's going to eliminate the content roles.
What if the AI is somehow able to learn that? Because I think I know what you're talking about. You tell me right? Because it generates that quote unquote personalization, but it's a little too generic. It's too vague.
Yeah.
We go through like a process of elimination, and then we shorten it down and make it sound quote unquote human to human.
Yeah, I mean, listen, could it learn it? Probably, but like my one thing the problem I have, every AI email that I've seen come out starts with some version of, "Hey Jax, hope you're doing well. Hey
Yeah.
Jax, you have I saw one today. It was like, hey whoever, my name is Adam and I'm the founder of Adam J Consulting." I mean, who the fuck is sending an email like that? Number one, I
Yeah.
would delete it. And the fact that AI hasn't learned that yet blows my mind. Do I think that AI could learn how to be more conversational and get rid of all that stuff? Sure. But I think it's so early and we're in such early days. And I'm not a huge fan of, I don't want to turn this political, but like I'm not a government overreach fan. But I
Yeah.
don't think the government is going to allow something like OpenAI to eliminate millions of jobs without putting some type of regulation on it. And if you follow the news at all, like, you've seen the founder of OpenAI, like there's already been congressional hearings and talking about like what restrictions need to be put there.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. Well, snaps. So we got 10 minutes left, so we'll just make the best of it. Adam, here's pick your brain on this too. Just throw a curveball, right? AI, CRM. Every freaking company, B2B SaaS has something messing with CRMs. It's a clutter.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on AI potentially being able to collect and give all that data, and then it cleans everything out? Maybe it can become your Salesforce admin. Maybe someone says, reach out to me on X day or X months, and then they just generate a list of leads for you. Like, what are your thoughts?
It's already being done. I think when you look at on the surface, like I have not seen AI being the Salesforce admin. I have seen people run scripts to like clean out Salesforce, but I'll give you the perfect example. So I advise for a company called Attention.tech, and one of their core premises is they're using GPT-4. We used a MEDDIC sales methodology. So at the end of our call, the AI is going to pull all the relevant MEDDIC information. It's going to populate it to the relevant fields in Salesforce. So your metrics, your economic decision, your decision maker, your pain points, all of that, it populates it all into the right place. I hit one button and it gives me the insights and it gives me a follow-up email based on the template that I gave it. So template, blah, 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 list the customer's 3 pain points, list the 3 solutions. AI is doing all of that.
Oh,
but I don't look at that as eliminating jobs. I look at that as, holy shit, you're making my sales team's life so much easier. And you just saved my rep 35 minutes from having to put all that shit in Salesforce, go back, custom craft an email, listen to the recording, find the customer's pain points. I think that's where AI has the potential to be super powerful and increase people's efficiencies so that they could spend more time on the revenue producing activities versus the administrative bullshit.
oh shit. You said which company was that? I just want to check that out.
Shameless plug, Attention.tech.
Attention.tech. There you go, listeners. Check that out. Advised by
it's badass.
Dude, that is freaking crazy. That's super note taking. How about proof of concepts? Anything with AI there you see any coming in the near future?
Yeah, I'm probably not the right person to ask that. I think where I could see it coming in is the biggest thing you need to do with a POC is transparently shape the decision-making criteria in your favor, right? Like when you're crafting a POC, it's really important that you are building the success criteria so that you can influence it. And Chris Orlob talks about this a lot, right? On pclub.io, that if you're going to do a POC, you want to make sure that that success criteria is one that you can influence. Where I do think AI can help is, hey, here are the 4 call recordings and all the notes from all of our calls. We want to do a proof of concept that is 30 days. This is, what we're trying to achieve in the proof of concept. This is what our product does. Craft, 17 bullet points of success criteria that would relate to the customer's pain points that have been discussed in these 4 calls, that based on our product spec that we've attached, we can hit or exceed. And I think that's where you could see it really start to have an impact on proof of concept.
Damn. Got all the information, feeding it on, and just having it rolled out. Quick, another question for you too. So, sales engagement platform, right? Prospecting, outreach, sales
Yep.
off. We saw like Apollo and stuff too. They're integrating AI. I mean, do you think anything that they're all sales engagement platform, right? Fuck, hey Adam, I want to reach out to you, and then now they're all encrypting it. And do you think the market's going to start seeing like a very good prompt message now? But now that everyone's doing it, it's kind of becoming noisy. And to break through the noise, maybe the old way mass blast regular me, not you works. Do you think like whatever? I don't know. I'm just curious because like reverse psychology.
I think that what you're going to see is the personalization of emails that used to resonate isn't going to resonate anymore, because every fucking email is going to be personalized because of AI.
Yep.
So how are you going to stand out? Welcome to the phone, my friends. Cold calling is coming back.
Ooh.
Because you're not going to be, and not that it ever left, but you're not going to be able to stand out via the email, because we're going to get to the point that every email is going to be so damn good that you're not going to be able to stand out with a good email anymore.
Yes. That's exactly what I've been thinking about like a lot.
And I love it. I personally love it, because the best BDRs that I've ever had were not what I would call the keyboard warriors. They were the ones that would pick up the phone. Cold calling's not dead. I still answer cold calls, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, someone else listening to this podcast cold called you pick up too?
Absolutely. 561-685-6400. There's the number. Call.
There you go, fam. There you go. Adam, that's funny. Imagine getting like 10 personalized email. Hey, notice the demand space top 25 execs in terms of personalized. Oh my
garbage.
Goodness.
That is not personalized. Hey, notice you live in West Palm Beach, Florida. Go Owls.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I was just listening to a live session with John Barrows today, and he was saying the same thing. Like, personalization isn't, saw you grew up in Maryland. Like, come on, that's not personalization.
Man, that's crazy. All right. Well, Adam, before we close this out, just real quick for you, you mentioned, AI would never replace a phone, at least not yet. What if in the near future, maybe because we're in the early stages, virtual assistant, and then they can actually, you think that would be a possibility? A robo calls you and it,
I mean, that exists.
Empathy?
I don't know about the empathy. I mean, listen, the robocalls exist. I still think you could tell when it's a robocall. They have automated dialers with AI. They have VAs that are AI. I think we're early. Do I think that there's the potential to replace people in a lot of roles in a lot of places? Absolutely. Do I think it's scary? Absolutely. Do I think there's going to be regulation around it? Absolutely. I think what it's going to force people to do is get better, not be lazy, hone in on their craft, and find a way to differentiate themselves through hard work and personalization. Otherwise, I would be worried. If you're the BDR or the AE or the anything that is literally just doing some copy and paste and mass spray and pray, and you don't differentiate yourself, yeah, I'd be worried. But if you pick up the phone, if you resonate with your clients, if you are doing enterprise sales with complex negotiations and a lot of back and forth and presentations, one day, maybe worry, but not now, not yet.
Damn. Solid. All right. Adam, we thank you so much for coming on the One Up Revenue podcast. Before we close this out real quick here for the time we have left being, especially on the clock, looks like I got to upgrade this. Embarrassing my end, but hey, I got let go too, you know what I'm saying? Adam, how can, if there's a rep right now that just got laid off, SDR, BDR, what are your advice for them to navigate through this uncertain time, to break through the noise, and what's the best way to reach out to you afterwards?
So the best way to break through the noise is you have to treat every job opportunity as if it's a prospect. Do not cold apply on LinkedIn. Do not just send some bullshit email to the hiring manager and hope they get back to you. You got to treat it like it's a prospect. You have to research, you have to personalize, you have to put them in a sequence, call, and show them how you can do the job and why you're the right fit. Sending some application that goes into the abyss of the applicant tracking system is bullshit. How to follow me, how to find me. You can find me on LinkedIn or just go to adamjay.io, ADAMJAY.io.
Adam J, everybody, give us a round of applause. Adam, thank you so much for coming on the One Up Revenue podcast. We appreciate you, man. And
thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Till the next, guys.